What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another review. And it is one of my most anticipated films of the year, Eternals. And what a movie this was. Before we start, just gotta give you a statement. Change isn't easy. And that's what this movie was able to do. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. But it was definitely amazing. Look, throughout the years, we've been accustomed to a certain Marvel formula. You know, there's that humor, there's a certain way the story happens in a movie. Yes, you can say Infinity War and Endgame were different movies, but also they had characters that we knew from before, and it was their storylines that were all coming to a conclusion. So there was a lot of familiarity in it, even though the way the movies happen weren't the usual Marvel way of doing things. This is a complete departure. So I'm going to say it. If you're going in to watch this movie as a Marvel movie, you probably will not end up enjoying it. But if you do go into this movie and watch it as a sci-fi epic, you will probably end up enjoying it a lot more. This is a sci-fi adventure. The characters, the way the story proceeds, the way everything happens, the way the characters interact, the way the ending happens, the way the story is set up. It's definitely a slow burn, especially in the first act and going to the second. It's more a slow burn. There is an action scene. There is an action scene at the start. And again, also the action scenes are handled very differently. They're more grounded than the usual Marvel action that we see. So, and the way they're also picturized and the cinematography is, you can tell it's handled as a sci-fi rather than a superhero movie. And I think it was great. It was something different. And look, at some point you gotta change the formula. If it was not this movie, it probably would have been the next. If it was on the next one, they probably would have done it with some other movie later on. But at some point, you have to kind of do that. You have to change yourself. You can't just keep going and doing the same kind of a movie all along. Yes, they're different characters, but at the end of the day, the humor and the usual story tropes that they usually do within the Marvel movies, you understand them. It's, it's within their DNA, and you're familiar with it. So every time you watch a Marvel movie, you kind of go ease into it and you don't really mind what they're showing you. Here though, there are a lot of things that they've done with the story, and there are also a lot of things that they show on the screen that the usual Marvel movie never did. And because of that, it does come at you in a way where you do feel like that this is so unfamiliar and this is uneasy. I felt it. I felt it during the movie, and it was not because like, oh, that's wrong, because other movies, a normal, any other movie would do that. But for a Marvel movie, you're not accustomed to it. So when you're watching it, it's like it's coming to you in a way that your mind is telling that, hey, this is supposed to be a Marvel film. It's not. And during the film, I felt that uneasiness and it didn't feel right. But after completing the movie, getting out of there, sitting in my car, and actually thinking for a few minutes, what did I just watch? I came to the conclusion that the movie was actually an amazing film, because it finally did what a lot of people were asking them to do, asking Marvel to do, was to change the formula. So they finally did that. Again, is it perfect? No, because when you change something after 20 or so movies, it's not going to be perfect all of a sudden. They're still going to understand how to get familiar with this kind of a formula and go with this in other movies. And I think when they do more of these style of movies, they'll be able to do better. But for now, what I got, or what the audience will get whenever you watch it, I watched it opening night, first show. I think it was pretty amazing based on all they had going against this movie, because nobody's really expecting anything from this or what to expect from this, right? It's the characters are new, and we don't really know much about the Eternals. So the story really spends time with this character. This is a character-driven movie with action sprinkled here and there. Even the finale scene, the finale, and there's all this epic action that you expect. It's great action, but it's handled very differently. It's very grounded. There is a CGI moment around it, but you don't feel the usual Marvel end fight scene that usually happens, especially with Shang-Chi. Coming from Shang-Chi, that whole Dragon Ball looking battle that we had at the end of that film, this is complete departure from that. So it's all about the characters in this movie. They're setting them up. The movie really opens up the Marvel universe in a way that they have never done before. Yes, you can also say that the multiverse opened things up, but this is different in that sense because there is a very, very story changing element at the start of the movie, and the way it all ends and the way you expect things to now go with what they introduce at the end of the movie with the multiverse, and you combine it together, your thoughts will go crazy. I'm definitely looking forward to it. The characters that they introduce here are interesting, and they've set up their stories in a way that it made sense with what the story was showing us. There are a lot of elements at play here, elements like literally their characters, they all have their different superpowers, and some are more action heavy and some are different, some are more subtle, and some of those powers, yes, you've seen before, but again, you understand why these powers exist with these because there's a reason for that. They explain that a very logical way. They also explain why they haven't interfered with any of the wars or all the problems humanity faced, Thanos and all of that. And it's logical. It's not the most bombastic answer, but they were able to put it all together in the most logical way. And because there's something that the story is setting up, and what it's able to do with the Celestials, and what the Deviants really are, what really the Eternals, who they really are, what they are, and it all makes sense. So come down to it, I loved this movie. I do definitely think it could have been better because especially the first act going to even the second, it is slow and it is slow burn, but I never got bored. I was always interested and always into the movie. I was always listening to the characters, what they had to say, the dialogue. It was all interesting because it was all adding to the characters and was all character build up. So to me, this is a 9 out of 10. I love this movie. It's not perfect, but it definitely adds a mythology to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've not seen before. And I think it was very much needed because if they haven't done this here internal in the Eternals movie, I don't think when they would have had the chance to do it. And I think this was the perfect movie to do it with because it's these are characters that we don't know. So doing a something so different with these characters, it made sense and it worked for me. So what are your thoughts on this movie? Have you watched it, or are you planning to watch it, or you just don't want to because you just don't know these characters? You leave a comment below, let me know. And other than that, I want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support. If you like these more kind of casual reviews, there are a whole lot others on the channel. please go have a watch. And yeah, take it easy, take care, and I will catch you all soon. Until then, ta-ta, a cap.